Let's take these 3 classic animated movie posters and turn them into horror. Starting with Moana. First, let's import this photo from the movie and get rid of Moana using content-aware fill. But don't worry, we're gonna bring her back later. And I'll use the same technique to extend the background before cutting out Maui. I'll just erase his hook for now and manually cut out another one with a better angle. I'm gonna match its colors to rest and put it on top of Maui's arm. The thing is, the hand is not a good match at all. So we should probably cut out another one and try to make it fit somehow. Now I can finally import Moana, and I was really lucky to find this image because this is exactly the right angle for what we're trying to do. I'm gonna cut her out using the object selection tool, and I'll puppet warp her to make her look less alive. Then we need to mask her out in order to make it look like she was impaled. And I'll keep her arm on top to give it more depth. We can't leave it like this though, so we gotta paint some contact shadows on Moana, but also on the hook where they're supposed to be touching. Her eyes have a little too much life in them, which is a problem, but thankfully, if I just paint them blank and add a very small pupil, she already looks a lot less comfortable. But to take it even further, I'll warp her mouth upside down and erase the original one beneath it. Now I can paint some eye bags as well, to really complete the dead look.
Nice job, team.
But I don't think the cut should look like this. So let's paint a red circle around the hook, then a layer of skin, and paint shadows on top to give it depth. It's time for some tomato sauce. I'm gonna paint some licking from the wound, but also splatters on the hook, as well as some extra drippings. And because this is such a unique angle, I think we should add some blur, especially on the beach and parts of Maui. If you've ever watched my videos, you know that we need this to happen at night. And I'm even reshaping the light with gradients. I did notice that we're missing some suspicious red liquid, so let's disable the night filters and paint some more. But one thing has been bothering me, and it's the fact that her hair is defying all the laws of physics. So to fix it, let's cut out hair from this other image, making sure the edges are decently masked. And then we're gonna desaturate it to match the original hair. But a lot of you guys aren't subscribed yet, so if you're enjoying the video so far, maybe consider subscribing. Now all we gotta do is add a title, but it doesn't match the vibe of the poster, so let's make it look like metal and splatter a bunch of ketchup on it. So this is the horror version of Moana. Next up is the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's literally the biggest movie of the year so far, so I have to do it. First thing first, let's import this nice photo of a nebula, and I'm gonna drag the texture and clarity all the way down, so that it's not as detailed. And I'll also overlay some stars on top of it. I saw this poster of the movie and it kinda inspired me to make some sort of a rocky planet by assembling a bunch of 3D asteroids together. I'm just gonna color match them to the background real quick using color balance and levels. I found this 3D piranha plant made by this guy, and I'm gonna cut out the lower jaw from the first angle and then the upper part from the other angle. Now I'll just warp them a little bit so that they fit together. And just like that, we have a piranha plant closing its mouth. We do need to draw its stem using a thick brush, but obviously it needs some shading. If you've seen the movie, you already know that Bowser Jr. is in it, and he can summon some sort of creatures using his brush, but they're always a tint of metallic purple. So let's use hue and saturation to make our plant purple, and then levels to make it more reflective. And because it's made of magical paint, I want to draw some drippings, kinda like the plant is semi-liquid. The background is just a little too distracting, so I'm replacing it with an image from the movie Elio. And while I'm at it, I'll also paint some extra shadows on the plant as well as some highlights. And now for the star of the show, Mario! I'm gonna cut out his upper body manually from this image, and I'll get his legs from another one. After a little bit of color correction and stamping, it looks pretty normal. But Mario isn't scared at all. To fix this, I'll cut out another mouth and mustache and warp them in place. Now I'll just put Mario upside down and make sure his right foot is inside of the plant's mouth. And I'm even drawing a little wound. I think you already know that Mario needs a bunch of work to look good. So first I'm drawing a little bit of tomato sauce, but also color matching him to the rest of the scene. Then I'll do some Okay, but his eyes are still very lively, and we can't have that. So as usual, I'm erasing them and painting in a smaller pupil. Obviously, there is no Mario without Luigi, so I'm adding a planet in the background, then a copy of the plant, and after that I'm cutting out Luigi and putting him in a difficult situation. I do want to have at least one reference to Bowser Jr., since he's supposed to have made the plants. And the best way to do it is adding the Bowser planet in the background. Now we just gotta import the title, but I think it would be more fitting to replace Mario with Murder. And I tried my best to match the style of the title. Okay, but the Mario movie happened in so many places, it feels kind of wrong to make only one movie poster. So I think it's time for a bonus poster. Let's import the moon among the stars and add a bunch of dunes to make a desert. Now I'll get some of these upside down pyramids in the background. Even though it was a pretty short scene, one of my favorite moments of the movie was in the Sand Kingdom with the Tostarenans. But what if they weren't so cute and friendly? Anyways, let's import Luigi on the motorbike and place him in the foreground. Now I'll get the Tostarenan and complete the missing part of his face. And for his body, I got this 3D cloth, onto which I'll overlay some holes. And I will also blend in some ribbed fabric at the bottom. It's pretty hard to make such a cute character scary, but by making the skull black and the eyes a glowing red, he starts to look a little creepy. Now I can just color match everything, add some shading onto our characters, and apply motion blur to this whole thing to make it look a lot more dynamic. Tell me which one you prefer in the comments. Our last poster is Ice Age. And I know I already turned Ice Age into a horror movie in another video, but this time it's different. I'm gonna start by importing icebergs and layering them together to create a glacier. Then I'm gonna add ice flow under it and warp some snow to make the transition better. Now we just have to color match all of these so that they look nice and consistent. I want water in the foreground, and for some reason I thought that the easiest way to do this would be to stack some 3D water blocks. It's not. But anyways, I'll paint a solid color underneath so that I can decrease their opacity. And then I'll just stretch it so that the waves don't look so aggressive. We just need to make everything a lot bluer and darker, but also to add the night sky. And with the background out of the way, we can import the good old block of ice and mask it partially to make it look like it's in the water. Now it's finally time to import Manny the Mammoth, as well as a nice skull that I'm gonna liquefy to match him. But now the tusks are all messed up, so I'm masking another skull on the lower part. Now I'm also adding an eye and placing it into the eye socket before adding a bunch of shadows onto it. And while I'm at it, I'm also cutting out the leg from a full mammoth skeleton and warping it in place. But if we want to make this a little more disgusting, we need some flesh. So I'm importing muscle on top of the bones and masking them in random places. Now we can invert the mask and paint the bones back in where I need them. I'll just go over the edges with a fur brush in order to make it look more realistic. And of course, I'll add some shadows. Now we can paint some suspicious red liquid, but I'm also erasing part of his tusk and painting the inside to make it look broken.
Nice.
I'm also gonna add drippings of ketchup coming out his nose. It is called a nose, right? Anyways, I'm adding some extra tomato sauce and painting some part of him green. Like it's rotten or something. And now I'll add a nice icicle under his tusk before putting him inside the block of ice. Now all we gotta do is import the title, but I have a better idea for it. I'm gonna erase H and write Des in the same font. Now we just need a camera filter. And this is the horror version of Ice Age. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'd love to see me make Pixar movie posters into space movies in that one.